The galaxy was old, and with age came pride. The Galactic Council, an alliance of many alien races, believed itself eternal. Its archives stretched back millions of years, holding records of empires that rose and fell. But one story was buried, hidden behind locked files and forbidden texts. It was the story of Earth, the story of humanity. 3,000 years ago, the Council had judged humans to be dangerous. Unlike other species, humans were restless. They expanded quickly, fought fiercely, and adapted to every world they touched. Where others moved slowly, humans leaped forward. They were unpredictable, bold, and often reckless. Some alien rulers admired them, others feared them. But the fear won. In a cold chamber of the Council's capital, a decision had been made. Earth was to be erased, not conquered, not enslaved, but destroyed. A weapon called the Starfire Lance had been used, a device capable of cracking a planet's crust and burning it from within. Billions of human voices were silenced in one terrible night. The Council declared it necessary. They told the galaxy that humans were too violent to be trusted, too dangerous to share the stars. They promised that erasing Earth would bring peace. And for centuries, most believed them. Records of humanity were sealed, erased or twisted into myths. Children across the stars grew up never knowing that Earth had once existed, but the Council was wrong. Humanity did not vanish. Far beyond the core worlds, in the dark edges of the galaxy, fragments of humanity had survived. A fleet of Orc ships, secret and desperate, had escaped before the destruction. Families, soldiers, engineers, and dreamers had fled into the void. For centuries they wandered, drifting between stars, hiding from the Council's patrols. Life was hard. Generations lived and died in metal corridors, never feeling the warmth of a sun. But humans endured. They built new homes inside their ships, turned frozen rocks into shelters, and learned how to survive with little. The harshness of their exile forged them into something stronger. They never forgot Earth. Children grew up listening to stories of blue skies, green forests, and oceans that stretched forever. Elders whispered about the betrayal of the Council, about the night their planet burned. Every human child learned these words. Remember Earth, remember what was taken. One day we will return. And so humanity waited. They studied, they worked, and they built. Over centuries their technology grew. They learned to weave machines with living cells, to craft ships that healed like flesh and thought like minds. They built weapons that could adapt in battle, guided by both human instinct and artificial intelligence. Slowly, the scattered survivors turned into something more, a hidden empire in the shadows. Now, 3,000 years later, the galaxy believed humanity to be nothing more than a dark myth. Council leaders told their people the story of the lost aggressors, as they called humans, to remind them why the Council had destroyed Earth. They painted humans as monsters, creatures who wanted endless war. Few questioned the tale. Life under the Council was orderly, and most preferred not to dig into forbidden pasts. That illusion shattered one night. On the rim of the galaxy, near the trading world Varick Prime, sensors picked up strange readings. A fleet was emerging from deep space, but its signature was unknown. Council patrol ships moved to intercept, expecting smugglers or pirates. What they found made them panic. The ships were sleek and dark, shaped like blades. Their hulls shimmered as if alive, shifting colors to match the void. They moved in silence, without broadcasting identity codes. The patrol hailed them, demanding they state origin and allegiance. No answer came. Instead, the ships surrounded the patrol in perfect formation, moving like predators. The commander of the patrol ordered weapons charged. But before the ships could fire, the strangers attacked. Blue-white beams sliced through shields. Missiles that split mid-flight, changing direction like hunting animals, tore through hulls. Council crews screamed as their systems failed. In less than 2 minutes, the patrol was gone. From the largest ship in the strange fleet, a message was sent. It spread across the trade lanes, across relay stations, across the stars. It carried one voice, steady and cold. We are the children of Earth. 3,000 years you thought us gone. You were wrong. We remember. And we have returned. The galaxy froze. On the Council's capital world, the message played in the high chamber. Tall alien leaders with jeweled robes and layered crests sat in shock. Some hissed in disbelief. Others shouted in anger. The Speaker of the Council, a scaled being with silver eyes, pounded his staff. Impossible, he declared. Humanity was erased. This must be a trick. But deep down they knew the voice carried something no other race had. The human fire, the defiance that no centuries could erase. One counselor whispered, "If they have survived, then our greatest mistake has come back to face us." Another replied, trembling, "Not a mistake, a crime." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some demanded fleets be mobilized at once. Others urged diplomacy. A few, old enough to remember the secret files, sat in silence, haunted by guilt. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, ordinary people reacted with shock and curiosity. On mining stations, workers stopped to watch the human broadcast. On trade worlds, merchants whispered about ghosts from the past. Some laughed, thinking it was a hoax. Others felt something stir inside them, a thrill at the thought of humans, the lost species that once defied the Council, rising again, among the young and the restless. The return of humanity felt like the return of a legend. Stories of Earth spread like wildfire. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Kalen Vaynar stood before a vast display. He was tall, with dark hair streaked with silver, his uniform simple but sharp. His eyes carried the weight of centuries of memory, though he himself had lived less than 50 years. His people had bred leaders carefully, training them with both knowledge and history. Around him, officers worked in silence. Some were flesh and blood. Others were half-machine, their limbs fused with living metal. A few were something more. Humans bonded with symbiotic technology. Their thoughts linked directly to the ship's systems. Kalen spoke quietly, but every word carried command. The Council believed we were gone. They erased our planet and thought that was the end. But humanity does not end. We endure, we adapt, and we remember. He turned to his captains, each standing proud. Our war is not for conquest. We will not enslave. We will not burn the innocent. Our war is for justice. The Council will answer for Earth. They will see what it means to face humanity after 3,000 years of silence. The captains struck their fists to their chests, a gesture from ancient Earth. In one voice they answered, "For Earth." The fleet moved with purpose. Their first targets were not cities or civilians, but Council strongholds. Communication hubs were cut, shipyards crippled, weapons depots destroyed. The attacks were swift, precise, and terrifying. No one could predict where the humans would strike next. Reports flooded the Council chambers. Entire fleets sent to stop them were lost in minutes. Human ships changed tactics in the middle of battle, adapting to enemy fire as if they had already fought 1,000 times. Their weapons learned, their defenses shifted, and their strategies twisted faster than any alien could follow. It was not just technology. It was human instinct, the ability to take risks, to improvise, to fight with desperation. That was what the Council had feared long ago. Now it returned sharper than ever, but Kalen knew the war would not be won with weapons alone. It would also be won with memory. For every world they struck, the humans left a message. Images of Earth appeared on alien screens. Oceans of blue, forests of green, cities shining with light. Voices of long-dead humans sang old songs, their words translated into every tongue. The message was always the same. This was our home. You destroyed it, and now you must answer. Across the galaxy, beings who had never heard of Earth wept at the beauty of the lost world. They began to question the Council's lies. For the first time in millennia, the truth spread. Still, doubts whispered in Kalen's mind. He stood often in his private chamber, looking at the last relic of Earth his people had saved, a fragment of blue stone, once part of a mountain. He held it in his hand and thought of the billions who had died. Could justice ever balance that loss? Could vengeance heal the wound? He did not know. But he knew one thing: humanity could no longer hide. The galaxy would see them. The galaxy would remember. And so, the first chapter of their return had begun. The news of humanity's return spread like fire through the galaxy. The mysterious fleet that struck Varric Prime's patrols had not stopped. In only a matter of weeks, 5 Council outposts were destroyed, 2 shipyards were left burning, and a dozen communication stations went silent. Everywhere the humans struck, they left the same message: we remember Earth. The Council could no longer deny it. Humanity had returned. Inside the high chamber of the Galactic Council, fear and anger filled the air. The chamber was a great dome of silver stone, floating above the capital city of Erythros Prime. Beneath it, the streets of the capital glittered with light. But inside, Shadows loomed. Hundreds of alien leaders filled the circular tiers. Each one came from a different world, wearing robes, scales, or armor that showed their culture. Voices echoed in dozens of languages, all translated into the air by shimmering drones. The noise was deafening. The speaker of the council, Zirath-Ka, slammed his staff. His scales shone a pale silver and his eyes burned with unease. "Silence," he commanded. "This chamber will not descend into chaos. We face a threat, one we thought ended 3,000 years ago." The voices grew quiet, but tension remained heavy. A feathered counselor from the Elari species rose first. "It is impossible," she said. "Humans were destroyed. Earth was shattered. We watched the flames from orbit. How could they live still?" An elder from the stone-skinned Durogans answered in a rumbling tone. "Perhaps they escaped. The humans always had a talent for survival. That is what we feared long ago, was it not?" Another, a tall serpent-like being, hissed. "They should never have been allowed to flee. If even a single Ark ship left Earth, then the Council's failure lies with our ancestors." Accusations filled the chamber. Words like failure, mistake, crime hung heavy in the air. For centuries, the Council had told itself it had done the right thing. But now, the very return of humans proved that decision wrong. As the leaders argued, a young diplomat named Serenia Vare watched in silence. She was not old enough to remember the hidden files of Earth, but she had studied forbidden history. Her family whispered of the genocide the Council had committed. Unlike many others, she felt shame instead of anger. Serenia stood and spoke with a calm voice. "Perhaps instead of screaming for fleets, we should listen. The humans attack with precision. They strike at our weapons, our stations, our fleets, but not at our cities, not at civilians. Does this sound like mindless monsters?" A wave of disapproval swept through the chamber. "They are dangerous," one shouted. "They are killers," another hissed, but Serenia continued louder now. "They are asking for justice. They are reminding us of what was taken. You all know what our ancestors did. You know Earth was destroyed not because humans could not change, but because the Council was afraid of their courage, their will, their strength. And now 3,000 years later, they prove us wrong again. They are alive." Her words hung in the air. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others glared. But no one could deny her point. While the Council debated, humanity acted. On the bridge of the human flagship Eternal Resolve, Admiral Kalen Vaynar studied maps of Council space. Holographic stars flickered before him, with red marks showing enemy fleets. Reports came in from scouts. The Council was mobilizing, gathering their forces into a massive armada. Captain Rin Calder, a sharp-eyed officer, stepped forward. "They are preparing a trap, Admiral. They believe numbers will crush us. 30,000 ships are gathering near the Helion cluster." Kalen's lips curved in a cold smile. "Let them gather. The larger they are, the slower they move. We are not here to fight them in their strength. We are here to strike at their weakness." Beside him, Commander Lyra Dane, a woman with silver implants running down her arms, nodded. "Fear is already spreading across their systems. Every station we destroy sends their people into panic. Their leaders argue while we move. We must strike faster. We must make the galaxy remember Earth before the Council can twist the truth again." Kalen turned his gaze to the holomap, his eyes burning. "Then we strike at their heart, not the capital, not yet. We strike at their memory, the place where they built the Starfire Lance, the weapon that killed Earth." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the name of that place, Korath Station. It was there, 3,000 years ago, that the weapon had been forged. And it still stood orbiting a dead star, guarded but forgotten. To the humans, it was the symbol of their greatest wound. The human fleet moved quickly. Their ships were not as large as the Council's, but they were alive. Their hulls shifted colors. Their weapons hummed like beating hearts. Their engines pulsed like veins. Each ship carried an AI linked with a human mind, a partnership of logic and instinct. When they reached Korath Station, the Council's defense fleet was already waiting. Hundreds of ships stood between humanity and their target. The station itself loomed vast, a dark fortress of metal, its towers still armed with ancient cannons. Kalen stood tall on his bridge. "Today we remind them of Earth. Today we tear down the monument of their crime." The battle began. The Council fleet opened fire first. Beams of energy and missile storms filled the void, but the human ships danced. Their hulls shifted to absorb attacks, their weapons split mid-flight, striking from impossible angles. Every time the council thought they understood the human tactics, the humans changed again. A council battleship launched a superheated plasma wave. One human vessel, the Aurora, took the hit directly. For a moment it seemed destroyed. Then its living hull reformed, glowing red but alive, and it returned fire with a storm that ripped the enemy apart. Adapt, Kalen said quietly. Always adapt. Within an hour, half the council fleet was in ruins. Ships fled, scattering in panic. The humans turned their full firepower on Korath Station. Missiles struck like falling stars. Beams cut through its defenses. Finally, Kalen gave the order. Burn it. The flagship's main cannon fired a single lance of white light. It pierced the heart of Korath Station. The station cracked, broke apart, and exploded in a storm of flame and metal. For a moment, the void was filled with fire. Every human on every ship stood in silence, watching the death of the weapon that had killed their world. Some wept, others clenched their fists. Kalen only whispered, "Earth is avenged." But justice is not finished. The destruction of Korath Station shook the galaxy. News spread instantly. For the first time, the Council could not hide the truth. The humans had destroyed the very weapon used against their planet. It was no longer rumor. It was history alive again. On distant worlds, ordinary people began to doubt the Council's stories. Were the humans truly monsters? Or were they survivors of a crime too great to forget? In the high chamber, Speaker Zarathka roared in fury. They humiliate us before the galaxy. They destroy our fleets. They shame our history. We must crush them. But Serenia Vare spoke again, her voice steady. You cannot crush them. You tried once and failed. Every battle shows they are not only strong, they are right. The galaxy will see the truth whether you hide it or not. The humans are not monsters. They are the memory of our crime. Her words angered many, but some leaders began to listen. For the first time, cracks appeared in the unity of the Council. Meanwhile, Admiral Kalen stood in his chamber, holding the blue stone fragment of Earth. He knew their war was only beginning. The Council would rally, their fleets would grow, and the blood of humans and aliens alike would be spilled. But he also knew the truth was spreading faster than any weapon. Images of Earth, messages of its beauty, the cries of its loss, these now reached every corner of the stars. Kalen spoke softly to himself. They wanted us forgotten, but now they will never forget again. The shadow of vengeance stretched across the galaxy. Humanity's return was no longer a whisper. It was a storm. The galaxy had never seen fear like this before. The Galactic Council, which ruled thousands of worlds, had grown used to control, order, and obedience. But humanity had returned, and with them came chaos. Ships moved like shadows through the stars, their hulls alive, their weapons precise. Entire fleets had fallen in the span of days, and the Council could not stop them. The high chamber burned with tension. Leaders shouted and argued, blaming one another for the disaster. But each accusation only revealed a deeper truth. The Council had underestimated humans, and now it was paying the price. 30,000 ships, growled Zarathka, the speaker, his voice echoing through the chamber. We will crush them with numbers. Send every fleet to the Helion cluster. Their fleet will be annihilated. The fleets were ordered to gather. Systems across the galaxy were mobilized. Warships pulling from every port, every defense station, every hidden armory. It was the largest military mobilization in the Council's history. Yet even as their fleets grew, the humans did not panic. The reports reached Admiral Kalen Vaynar aboard the Eternal Resolve, and he studied the numbers calmly. 30,000? He murmured. Good. They will move slowly. They will act with certainty, and that is their weakness. The human strategy was simple yet brilliant. Instead of facing the Council fleet head-on, they divided their forces into small, fast strike teams. Each team moved independently, hitting supply lines, communication hubs, and shipyards. The Council's massive fleet struggled to respond. No matter where they concentrated, the humans struck elsewhere. Captain Rin Calder watched as a Council dreadnought attempted to flank one of their smaller groups. They think sheer firepower will overwhelm us, she said. They don't understand human adaptability. They never do, Kalen replied. That is why they feared us before. And that is why they will fail now. The humans were not just fast. They were smart. Their ships were linked by advanced AI systems, sharing information instantly. Each ship adapted its defenses and weapons mid-battle. Energy beams split into multiple directions to strike different targets, missiles changed course in mid-flight, and shields hardened precisely where attacks were strongest. Every Council ship destroyed became a lesson, every retreat an opportunity to learn. For the first time, the Council realized the true scale of human ingenuity. While their fleets were massive, the humans used intelligence and creativity. One Council admiral watching the battle from the Obsidian Glory whispered, "These are not machines alone. They think, they plan. They feel the battlefield." Another officer shivered. "It is as if the ships themselves are alive. They are not just fighting, they are learning." On board the human flagship, Kalen observed the chaos with satisfaction, but he did not allow pride to blind him. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The Council will fight harder. They will not yield easily. We must prepare for their counterattack." The humans had another advantage, the loyalty of former Council subjects. Many alien species had long remembered Earth, though history had been rewritten to erase it. When humans sent messages showing the truth, the beauty of Earth, the horror of its destruction, some began to question their leaders. Small rebellions broke out across several worlds. Council governors who had profited from lies found their populations rising against them. Ships that had once served the Council defected, bringing intelligence and weapons to the humans. Kalen received reports from scouts. "The Dralnari fleet at Orvac Prime has joined us. They say your justice will correct what the Council hid for centuries." Kalen smiled. "Good. Humanity does not fight alone. Those who see the truth will join us. Those who do not will face us." As the humans advanced, they prepared for the biggest challenge yet, the Helion cluster. This region of space was heavily fortified, a natural trap surrounded by asteroid belts and gravity wells. The Council had concentrated its armada here, expecting the humans to attack directly. Instead, Kalen devised a bold plan. He split his fleet into 3 groups. One would strike the front defenses, drawing attention. Another would sneak through asteroid fields, attacking from unexpected angles. The third group, the most powerful, would remain hidden, ready to strike the Council's command ships when the battle reached its peak. "Divide and confuse," Kalen said to his captains. "Force them to fight shadows. We are not many, but we are clever, and cleverness beats size every time." The captains nodded. Each of them understood the stakes. Humanity's future, and the memory of Earth, depended on the outcome. The battle began at dawn, in the shadow of the Helion cluster. Council fleets poured through space, their numbers vast, their ships armed with destructive weapons. Lasers streaked the void, missiles exploded in showers of light, and the cries of commanders echoed through communication lines. The humans struck swiftly. Strike teams moved like ghosts, attacking weak points and vanishing before retaliation. Entire squadrons of Council fighters were destroyed in minutes. Missiles meant to hit human vessels were redirected mid-flight, turning back on their origin. Holographic decoys confused targeting systems, and living shields absorbed devastating blows. The Council's generals realized their mistake. They had counted on size and discipline, but the humans used unpredictability. Every attack taught them a new way to survive, and every survival inspired courage. In the middle of the battle, Kalen took a personal risk. He piloted the Eternal Resolve directly toward the Council command ship, the Obsidian Glory. His intention was not to destroy it immediately, but to force the Council leaders to see humanity's might firsthand. Energy beams tore through space, scattering asteroids and burning smaller ships. The Eternal Resolve weaved through the chaos, shield glowing, engines pulsing. Council officers watched in horror as the humans approached, their flagship seemingly unstoppable. Inside the Obsidian Glory, Admiral Morvek trembled. They are here. The humans are in range. Shields cannot hold against that ship. Zarathka hissed in fury. "Destroy it. Destroy it before it reaches us." But it was too late. Kalen transmitted a single message to the Council's command. "We are the children of Earth. You erased our home, yet we endured. You counted us gone, yet we survived. Now you will witness the cost of your fear and arrogance." The words burned in their minds. For the first time, the Council leaders felt the weight of guilt that had been buried for millennia. While the flagship confronted the Council directly, smaller human units continued their strike. Living ships tore through the Council's lines, striking supply stations, weapon depots, and communication relays. The fleet adapted with each encounter, learning faster than the Council could respond. Council fleets began to retreat. Panic spread as some ships accidentally fired upon their own. Orders were misinterpreted in the chaos. Entire sectors of space turned into a battlefield of confusion. Humans exploited every weakness. In the command ship of one Council admiral, a message arrived. Admiral Vaynar's fleet is not just fighting. It is teaching. Every engagement strengthens them. Every retreat weakens us. We cannot win if we continue like this. The admiral sank into his seat. Then perhaps we have lost, he whispered. By the end of the battle, the Helion cluster was mostly under human control. The Council had lost thousands of ships. Entire defense stations were destroyed or captured. Communication networks were in ruins. The Council had underestimated humans, and that mistake had cost them dearly. Kalen stood on the bridge of the Eternal Resolve, watching reports from across the battlefield. Despite the destruction, he did not celebrate. Humanity's war was far from over. Today we showed them strength, he said. Tomorrow we will show them justice. They must understand the price of erasing Earth. They must remember that humanity does not forget. Captain Rin Calder spoke quietly. And the galaxy? Do you think it will follow us? Kalen's eyes shone with determination. It already has. Those who saw the truth, those who suffered under the Council's lies, they will join us. Humanity does not fight alone, and soon the Council will face the galaxy's judgment, not just ours. As the humans regrouped after the battle, they sent messages to worlds across the stars. Images of Earth once hidden in archives were displayed. Songs of human children, long forgotten, echoed in alien cities. Messages of hope and justice reached ears that had never heard them before. In the Council, fear became despair. Leaders who once ruled with confidence now trembled. For the first time in millennia, the Council's authority was questioned openly. Aliens who had never known humans began to hope. The lost species of Earth, once a myth, now stood in the center of the galaxy's story. Kalen walked to his personal chamber. He held the fragment of Earth, blue and beautiful, a piece of a home never fully seen by those who remained. Soon, he whispered, they will understand. The memory of Earth will live in every star, every planet, every being who sees what we endured. They will remember us, and they will pay for what they did. The shadow of humanity stretched across the galaxy. The turning tide had begun. The Council's might was failing, and the cleverness, courage, and determination of humans were rewriting the balance of power. The war for justice and the memory of Earth was far from over. But for the first time in 3,000 years, humanity could feel hope, and the galaxy could feel fear. The galaxy was in turmoil. The once mighty Galactic Council, which had ruled thousands of star systems for millennia, now teetered on the edge of collapse. The humans had not only returned, they had struck, conquered, and exposed the Council's long-hidden crimes. Admiral Kalen Vaynar stood on the bridge of the Eternal Resolve, watching a sea of Council ships scattered and retreating across the Helion cluster. But this was not victory yet. Humanity's war was not one of conquest, it was one of justice, and justice required the Council itself. The plan was bold. Kalen had made it clear. The Council would face trial, not immediate destruction. Their leaders would be judged for the genocide of Earth, for the lives taken and the lies spread for 3,000 years. It was a test of morality, a challenge to the greatest powers in the galaxy, and a chance for humanity to rise not only in strength, but in honor. Kalen addressed his fleet. Today we march not to destroy, but to judge. Every leader of the Council will see what it means to face the survivors of Earth, and the galaxy will watch. This is the hour when truth triumphs. The captains nodded, each understanding the responsibility. They were not simply soldiers. They were witnesses of history, carriers of a memory no one could erase. Across the Council's capital world, Erythris Prime, alarms blared and panic spread. Ships attempted to flee, but the human fleet blocked every exit. Communications were flooded with images of Earth, oceans, forests, cities, children playing under blue skies, and the final burning of the planet by the Starfire Lance. The Council leaders could no longer deny the truth. Videos, historical records, and holographic images streamed into their chambers. Evidence of genocide that had been hidden for centuries now shone before them. Every alien in the high chamber could see the crime of their ancestors. Every lie they had believed was exposed. Speaker Zerath Ka's voice trembled. We cannot have done this. A counselor hissed it was necessary. Humanity was dangerous. Kalen's voice boomed over the communication channels, calm and steady. Dangerous? Perhaps, but danger does not justify murder. You erased Earth, and for 3,000 years you told the galaxy lies about us. Today you will answer for what you have done. The humans did not attack the cities. They did not destroy infrastructure or harm innocents. Instead, they surrounded the capital, their ships forming a protective ring. Outside, thousands of alien species watched from orbiting stations and nearby systems. They had long suspected the Council's lies, and now the truth was undeniable. Some had joined the humans. Small fleets of rebels from distant worlds moved alongside Kalen's ships. Others observed quietly, waiting to see what justice would look like. For the first time, the galaxy had hoped that the Council could be held accountable. Inside the High Chamber, fear was tangible. The Council leaders had long relied on intimidation and secrecy. Their history had been rewritten so that no one would remember Earth, no one would question their judgment. And yet here they were, confronted not by armies alone but by the living memory of their victims. Kalen transmitted a final message to the Council chambers. Your time of hiding is over. You will answer for the lives you took. You will face the memory of Earth, and the galaxy will witness your judgment. Prepare yourselves. No one moved. Silence filled the chamber, broken only by the hum of energy shields outside. Kalen did not enter the capital alone. A delegation of humans selected for wisdom and courage joined him. Among them was Saren Tal, an historian who had studied Earth's past and preserved its culture, and Commander Lyra Dane, the strategist who had led many victories against the Council's fleets. As they entered the chamber via a secure teleport corridor, every eye turned toward them. Aliens who had never seen humans stared in awe and fear. The humans carried no weapons openly, only the calm authority of those who had endured unimaginable loss. Kalen spoke first. We are not here to kill. We are here to ensure that truth cannot be denied. The Council erased Earth, attempted to erase our memory, and told lies to the galaxy for 3,000 years. Today you will face what you tried to hide, Zerath Ka hissed, his scales bristling. And if we refuse? What then? Kalen's voice was like ice. Then the galaxy will judge. Your lies will fall. Your fleets will be destroyed and your power will end. We do not desire destruction, but we will not be ignored. The trial began. Kalen presented evidence in clear, undeniable detail. Holographic images of Earth before the attack. Forests, oceans, and cities full of life. Records of the Council's orders to build and fire the Starfire Lance. Testimonies from surviving humans who had escaped Earth. Describing the night the planet burned. The Council leaders attempted to interrupt, claiming the humans had reinterpreted history or misunderstood events. But every objection was met with irrefutable proof. The galaxy's own historians, long silenced, had been restored by the humans, confirming the evidence. The chamber was filled with shock, anger, and finally, silence. Outside the High Chamber, the galaxy watched. Beings from countless worlds recorded every moment. For centuries, the Council had controlled information. Now humanity controlled the narrative. The story of Earth, once buried, shone for all to see. Aliens whispered to each other, questioning what they had been taught. Were the humans really monsters? One asked. Or were we wrong to believe the Council? Rebellion brewed quietly in sectors far from Erythros Prime. Ships that had once served the Council began to defect. Supplies were sabotaged. Governors who had enforced lies resigned in fear of their populations. Kalen's fleet maintained position, calm and unyielding. Humanity's message was clear. The Council would not escape accountability, and the galaxy now knew the truth. Inside the chamber, Speaker Zerath Ka finally bowed his head. We were wrong. Earth, humanity, we cannot deny it. We failed. Kalen stepped forward. Acknowledgement is the first step. Justice is the next. You will rebuild what you can. You will repair the lives you destroyed. You will allow the galaxy to see the truth of your actions. Only then will this chapter close. Some Council leaders protested, but the voice of the fleet outside reminded them of their power. Humanity had arrived not just as soldiers, but as witnesses of history, and nothing could silence them. Days passed as the Council complied. Communications were restored to the galaxy, and records of Earth were shared widely. Artists, scientists, and historians from every world studied the recovered data. The truth of humanity, once erased, now flourished across systems. Some council leaders tried to hide, fleeing to distant worlds, but Kalen's forces tracked them, ensuring they could not escape. Even those who tried to resist were shown mercy when they accepted responsibility. Humanity's goal was justice, not slaughter. In a final gesture, Kalen ordered the remaining Starfire Lance remnants on Erythros Prime dismantled. They were broken down and repurposed for construction, a symbol that humanity's vengeance was complete but not cruel. Earth's memory would live, but no new destruction would follow. The galaxy slowly began to accept the change. Humans were no longer myth, no longer the lost aggressors. They were survivors, wise and strong, demanding that history be remembered accurately. Across alien worlds, children learned about Earth for the first time, taught by humans and allies alike. The story of betrayal, loss, and endurance became legend. Kalen and his team established a new council, not to rule, but to guide. Representatives of many species, including humans, would ensure that no power could hide crimes in darkness again. Humans did not claim supremacy. They did not demand obedience. Instead, they offered partnership, honesty, and the reminder that the galaxy must never forget the value of life. In the quiet of the flagship, Kalen held the fragment of Earth once more. He turned it over in his hands, blue and smooth, a piece of a home lost but never forgotten. Around him, the fleet was calm, repaired, and ready, but the war was over. Humanity had faced the Council, claimed justice, and shown that survival, intelligence, and honor could outlast even millennia of lies. Earth lives, Kalen whispered, not just in memory but in action. And now, the galaxy will remember. As the stars stretched beyond the viewport, he saw distant worlds waking, watching, and learning. Humanity's vengeance had transformed into legacy. The galaxy had been reminded that humans were not weak, not forgettable, and not to be underestimated. The shadow of judgment had passed, but the light of remembrance shone brighter than any star, and for the first time in 3,000 years, the memory of Earth and the strength of humanity was safe.